The distress beacon had gone silent 3 weeks ago. Lieutenant Aaron Vale stood at the edge of the Viridian forest, staring into the dense canopy that swallowed Light whole. Behind her, the multi-species rescue team shifted uneasily. The Kathrani, insectoid. Beings with crystalline exoskeletons clicked their mandibles in distress. The Valorian diplomat folded all 4 of his arms across his chest, his scales dimming to a somber gray. "Lieutenant," the Valorian said softly, "perhaps it is time to accept—" "No." Aaron's voice cut through the humid air like a blade. "We search until we find them, all of them." The younglings had been on an educational expedition, 12 children from 6 different species accompanied by 2 teachers. They'd been studying the unique bioluminescent ecosystem of Viridian 7 when their shuttle malfunctioned. The emergency landing had been successful, but then, nothing. No communications, no life signs detected through the dense mineral deposits that made this planet a scanner's nightmare. And then there were the predators. The Viridian stalkers were apex predators, 200 kilos of muscle, fang, and claw. Pack hunters, intelligent enough to set traps. The colonists who'd settled on Viridian 7's southern continent had learned to respect the borders of stalker territory. The younglings' shuttle had crashed right in the heart of it. Aaron had been searching for 22 days. Her human persistence had become legendary among the rescue crews, and a source of frustration for the officials who wanted to call it off. Humans and their stubborn refusal to accept loss. It was both admired and pitied across the galaxy. The thermal scans detected a stalker den 2 kilometers northeast, Aaron said, checking her datapad. "That's our next search grid." "Lieutenant, that's suicide," the Kathrani scout chittered. "A den means cubs. Cubs mean the entire pack will be nearby, extremely territorial and aggressive. Then we go carefully." Aaron shouldered her pack and started walking. The team had no choice but to follow. Humans had that effect. Their determination was infectious, even when it bordered on madness. The forest grew denser as they approached the coordinates. Ancient trees twisted together overhead, their bioluminescent fungi casting everything in an eerie blue-green glow. Aaron moved with practiced silence, her hand near her sidearm, but not on it. She'd learned long ago that projecting aggression toward predators usually got you killed. The den was a natural cave formation, half hidden behind a waterfall. The mist created rainbows in the fungal light. It would have been beautiful if Aaron's heart hadn't been hammering against her ribs. She held up a hand, and the team stopped. Enhanced audio scanners picked up sounds from within, but not the sounds she expected. Not growling, not the wet sounds of feeding, chirping, high-pitched and plaintive, the unmistakable sound of hungry cubs. "That's strange," the Valorian whispered. "Where are the adults?" Aaron's mind raced. Adult stalkers never left cubs unattended. Never. Unless. She moved closer, gesturing for the team to stay back. The cave mouth was wide enough for her to slip through. Her helmet light cut through the darkness, and what she saw made her breath catch. 6 stalker cubs, still spotted with their juvenile markings no bigger than earth wolves, huddled together in the center of the den. They were thin. Too thin. Their ribs showed through their fur, and their chirping was weak. Orphaned, Aaron realized. The adults must have been killed. By hunters. By rival packs. By one of a dozen dangers that made Viridian 7 so hostile. These cubs were starving. But that wasn't what made Aaron's hand fly to her mouth. Curled in the middle of the cubs, as if they were a living blanket, was a small figure. Human-sized, wearing the tattered remains of a youth expedition uniform. "Dear God," Aaron whispered. She approached slowly, and the cubs stirred but didn't flee. They watched her with large, luminous eyes, wary but not aggressive. The smallest, one. Her spotted fur matted and dull had her paw draped protectively over a worn boot. "I've got a visual," Aaron reported into her comm. "Send medical, now." She knelt beside the pile of fur and limbs. The human child, a girl no more than 13, was unconscious but breathing. Her face was scratched and dirty, her lips cracked from dehydration, but she was alive. How? The Kathrani scout breathed from the cave entrance. How did she survive? Aaron gently moved the smallest cub, Nira, she found herself thinking, looking at the name collar around the creature's neck, and began checking the girl's vitals. As she worked, the pieces fell into place. The shuttle crash, the younglings scattered, this girl separated from the group, stumbling upon orphaned cubs that were just as lost and frightened as she was. On any other world, it would have been a death sentence. Predator cubs were still predators, but humans. Humans had a peculiar trait that the galaxy both mocked and marveled at. They looked at things with teeth and claws and thought, "Can I pet it?" Aaron could imagine it. The girl, injured and alone, finding the starving cubs. And instead of seeing monsters, she'd seen babies. She'd probably tried to feed them, sharing whatever rations she had. She'd given them warmth, and they'd given it back. A symbiosis born of desperation and that uniquely human inability to see any creature in distress and not try to help. "The others," Aaron said urgently. "Where are the other younglings?" She searched the cave with renewed energy and found signs, scraps of fabric, marks on the walls. This had been a base camp of sorts. The girl had been trying to gather her scattered classmates, using the cubs as, what, trackers, companions, Lieutenant? A call came from outside. "We've found tracks, recent ones, leading south." The girl stirred, her eyes fluttering open. They were unfocused, feverish, but when she saw Aaron's face, she smiled weakly. "Found us," she whispered. "Knew someone would come." "What's your name?" Aaron asked gently. "Zara." The girl coughed. "The others. I left markers. Couldn't carry them all. Cubs helped, tracked scents." Tears pricked Aaron's eyes. This child had turned predators into search and rescue animals through sheer force of will and compassion. "You did good, Zara," Aaron said. "You did so good, now rest, we'll find them." As the medical team rushed in, Nira, the smallest cub, refused to leave Zara's side. She chirped anxiously until the medics allowed her into the transport pod where she curled up on Zara's chest, purring like a diesel engine. By nightfall, following the markers Zara had left and the tracks the cubs led them to, they'd found the others, all 11 younglings, scared, hungry, some injured, but alive. Lieutenant Aaron Vale stood watching as the cubs were loaded into a separate transport for wildlife rehabilitation. Nira kept looking back at Zara's pod, chirping mournfully. "Arrange for that cub to visit the hospital," Aaron ordered. "Something tells me they're going to be inseparable." The Valorian diplomat approached, his scales bright with awe. "I didn't believe," he admitted. 22 days and I thought you were chasing ghosts." Aaron smiled, watching the transports lift off into the bioluminescent night. "That's the thing about humans," she said. "We don't know when to quit, and sometimes, just sometimes, that's exactly what the galaxy needs." In the transport, Zara slept with Nira's paw resting over her hand. Two lost souls who'd found each other in the darkness and refused to let go.